Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Slydog Racing. This is the second race that we have started with. Obviously, last week I don't believe was streamed as I decided that work was more important, unfortunately. Although it was a tight decision, because let's be honest, who doesn't want to pull a sickie at work sometimes? But anyway, I digress. So we're moving on to the race today, where we had our previous winners last week, mainly being the AlphaTauri team, being able to accommodate 53 points between the feature race and the sprint race. Now, league this season is slightly different, as you may already know, that we're doing realistic cars based on performance, which will make things a lot more interesting. So we'll have the faster drivers and the slower cars to make sure it's more of an even field and just to make it a little bit more interesting for everybody involved. So as things start off this evening, we're just currently waiting for the players to start. And I apologise if this isn't something you're used to hearing, because I'm not used to hearing my own voice very well, and it's not particularly fun, I'm going to be honest, but each to their own. Good evening, Mr. T. Keeley. Thanks for the comment. So the session's going to be underway in the next sort of 15-20 seconds here. So I'm just going to talk about the track for the time being, just while we're waiting for it to start. So we're here at Spa, the 4.3 mile long circuit, known for some very, very good overtaking in the long straights, as well as some tricky bendy corners. We're looking at 19 turns in total, and you may already remember, but I believe the fastest lap record here is by Valtteri Bottas of a 1:46.2. I wonder if anyone will be beating that today. It's potentially not going to be the case, but who knows? There are some very good drivers on track. So at the moment we've got Atterwill 16:30 just leading the pack as they're all beginning their formation lap. This will just give them a chance to warm their tyres up and get themselves ready to go. And I can see already that Trem and Blum may have had some slight contact there, maybe leading to a disqualification. So we'll have to see why that is shortly. We're just riding on board with them with one of our new leaders for this season. So Atterwill, followed by Hinderboy, I'm assuming that's meant to be Boy, and Era 6, who recently joined us at the end of last season. We'll see what he brings to the team. My prediction for today, well, anyone's game really. We've got a few people that are very strong, but obviously I've not raced with the boys all season, so I couldn't say exactly who could be the best out there, but having raced with several like Trem, Blumchum, A. Riley, James Punt, Mowgli, Butters, all of these guys are fairly regular on the Monday night stream as well. But I mean I'm looking at, you probably want to look in the middle of the pack. That's where you're thinking, because where it's realistic this season, you've got some people in the better cars that, like Mercedes for example, they may not be the winners here. just because of the fact that maybe some of the drivers here aren't quite as good as some of the other boys on track. They might not have the same experience. But I mean, if I had to put a number on it, well, I'd probably say ZGS could be a good shout for today, but Albert in the Alfa Romeo, definitely someone worth looking at, as he's very strong on a Monday night. However, he is obviously in the AlphaTauri, which we consider a bit further down the list. So they're just beginning to line up anyway, before the race is about to start. Let's have a look at the front as we see them all slowly building themselves back in. We'll have to apologise for the TV and the camera types. It's not something that I'm used to doing yet. Okay, so the race is going to begin now. 4 lights, 5 lights. And away we go. And I can already see that Mogi's got a very good start. Wow, you've got to bear with though, because obviously sometimes Codemasters are a bit dodgy when it comes to their things. We see a few cars going off very wide. But the good news is that Star allows for that to happen. So we're just looking at the front as we see an L plate just come missing, which looks like to come off an L6. That's going to be very costly on the straights here. Got big old fights going on everywhere we look, and it looks that Mogi and Atterwee would be a little bit of danger here, especially on these opening couple of laps. It looks like we're getting changes all over the field here, while Willis takes a bit of a wide exit there. That's not going to help him into this. Oh, and I see Trent's retired from the session. I wonder what's happened there. I mean, oh, there seems to have been a bit of a clash here, as James Punt also retired from the session. Big collision somewhere along the track here. Blumchum's going slow. It looks like we've got a yellow in sector 2. I'm assuming it could be it doesn't say anything yet, but I would assume there is a safety car about to be deployed for this, surely. Wow, there's been some big contacts here. We've got people DNFing all over the place. Yeah, it looks like it. Woolsey, A. Riley, Blumchum, ZGS, Butters. We're going to have to see who is at fault for that. But it looks like everybody's retiring now, as we've got sector 2 and 3 yellow flags. I have a feeling this may have been red flagged, and we may be starting the stream the race again, as we've only got 3 races left behind. But if you bear with me, I'll try and find out what's going on. But I mean, in the meantime, let's keep an eye on this Williams, just for the fact that they're never near the front, regardless of there's only 3 runners. So let's just take a look to see what's going on here. Yeah, so we've so looking at here, Trem's message here to say that they've had a red flag. There we go, right, everyone's finally retired. So I'm just looking into the Discord at the moment, and we're saying that there is a 3 red flag retire here for 3 people. Now, I'm not sure whether or not this is because of maybe connection issues, or perhaps there was a big car pile-up which has caused there to be a bit of a change around. But I'll let you know as and when I know. This is not what I expected on my first stream back, that's for sure. Maybe it's me, maybe I'm bringing some bad luck on people here, but let's just see what keeps going on in and around there. I mean, no, welcome Ben, I can see that you've joined in. Shame you're not here being my co-commentator today, because it would make things a lot easier in terms of finding out what's actually going on. Who knows, I might be able to convince him to join at some stage or another. Yes, Tom, throw me right in the deep end as we're just trying to figure out what's actually going on. Okay, so it looks like there is an AI on the track which is causing murder on the track. Now that could be anything from someone accidentally being in the pause menu when the race began, so the AI takes over. But we all know that the AIs are considerably slower compared to if you were racing fully, and it can have a massive hindrance on the rest of the drivers on the field. So yeah, it looks like someone was AI at the time, which then hit into Trem and Woolsey, causing a bit of a pile-up. So it looks like Endribo, or Endriboy, whoever you pronounce his name there, as I still will need to get that confirmed. But it just sounds like Endribo. Well, yeah, it looks like he AI'd or lost communication there, connection of some kind. So we will be restarting the session, boys. Whether or not that would just be as a random start again, I imagine all the rules will still be in place. But I mean, while we're waiting for that, I may as well lead you through it. So the session on a Thursday is slightly different from a Monday. So on a Monday, you'll see, you can kind of consider this league as like a sister team, kind of like Red Bull is to AlphaTauri. So we sort of so on a Monday you've got the league which go into there, and then they join in again on a Thursday night. So you've got a couple of reserve drivers for each sessions for those that want to trial. And then what we do going on from there is, after a couple of racing, just see what sort of pace you are, just to make sure that you're clean, and that obviously that you're not going into dive bombing into the corners and causing all kinds of mayhem, as it has been known in the past. I imagine that's why this league has been created in the first place, just to try and prevent that and create some clean, stable racing. But as I say, back to the league rules. So the cars are realistic this season as compared to last season. It was all equal. So that's had a big effect on all the cars lining up this year. Now, there's a 50% feature race, and then we do a 25% sprint race afterwards, but we do it in a reverse order. So this will give everyone an equal chance to try and get positions, because we all know, obviously, the higher up you start, the more likely you are to keep it that way. Because we all know that overtaking and holding position is two different things. So let's have a look. But yeah, this is certainly a curveball that I did not expect in my first bit of commentary for Slydog racing, that's for sure. But it looks like I'm hearing here that we will be starting the lobby again, which obviously most people are here at the moment. Once everyone's in and we can confirm, we'll have to reset everybody in terms of where they should be positioning, as it's a custom grid every week. So it's been confirmed there'll be no formation lap this time now, so we'll just get straight into the racing as a result. I'm just getting a message to say that it appears that my voice is a bit low. It's not going to lie, probably the first time as ever someone said to me that I'm a bit too quiet. So let me just change that slightly, and if the guys on stream there could just give me a heads up as to if it's too loud or not loud enough. Have a little look. Hello there, sorry about that. I just had to pause the stream briefly while I changed my mic settings. So everyone appears to be back into the lobby now, but it will take a bit of time for Butters to reset the list. In the meantime, I'll go back to what I was talking about before. So this is obviously race number 2. So the first race we had a top 3 in the feature race with James Punt, Aaron and Dunners in third. following by a sprint race for the top in the 25% sprint race, which was in reverse order. We had Butters, B Wheeler, and Dunners. Again, Dunners in the top 3 twice in a row there, so that's quite impressive for the newcomer. So in terms of constructors, though, we were adding all the points together for both the feature race and the sprint race to create us a constructors. So AlphaTauri lead the way with 53 points at the moment, which has got ourselves as Riley and James Punt, both very competent drivers. We've also got then McLaren just only small behind, with 6 points behind and 47. And with the McLaren team, you've got, I believe, you've got Butters, and then you've also got Trem. So we both know that everyone knows if you watch on a Monday or on a Thursday night tonight, you know that they're both very quick drivers and they do pretty well on both. As everyone probably has seen this before, Trem has got the widest car in F1 history. I am speaking from experience as well. Sorry, just looking at your message here, Tom. I don't believe we are losing anyone, no. I think it was due to a connection which caused a couple of the cars to pile up. So I can't say for absolute certainty, but yeah, it was a shame. I think there was also an error with actually the grids, because I'm just reading some information here that in the Ferrari of Attawheel 1630 was on pole by error, so he'll have to be put to the back, which makes a lot more sense. Anyway, looks like they're ready to begin again, so let's start this off again, and perhaps I can actually watch what's going on this time, as everything just seemed to be pure carnage. But if you've got any questions in terms of the stream, guys, just pop me a little message on the chat. I'll try and answer it as best I can. And if it's completely irrelevant, which it may well be, because I know a couple of people who are watching tonight are friends of mine, I will just downright ignore it, because that's the kind of guy I am. So we're just waiting for the race to begin again. And obviously, like I said before, there will be no formation lap this time round. So I'll go back to T. Keeley's question previously of what's your prediction for today's race. Well, I certainly didn't predict a 5-man car pile up inside of turn 1 to turn 2, nor did I expect a red flag and have to start again from scratch. I mean, this is just, adding on to our evening, isn't it? Just as well we're not working tomorrow, But I would say, if I had to put a punt out on it, you're looking at, I think Trem could be in with a good shout here. Mogi is very quick on the Monday leagues as well as tonight, so he will definitely be in with a shout in my book. And there's also Albert. So if I had to go with a few people, they're the people I'll sort of be looking at. But then you can't also rely on some of the others just because they're in slower cars. So we'll have to see what happens. But I mean, that's why they've decided to do it this season, just to see what sort of changes it makes. It's not guaranteed that it's going to stay this way either. We want to make sure it's entertaining, not just for the drivers, but for the people who are actually on stream. So, like yourselves. And obviously, no one cares about me, but just in case they do, they want to make sure it's entertaining for me. Because as much as I love to talk about myself and others, it would be a bit boring if there was nothing to talk about. So we're still waiting for a couple more ticks before the race will start, and here we go. So Keely's going for a Riley win today, but it looks like we're about to start again now over in Spa. Oh, we've definitely had an early one there. Drive-through penalty for Attawheel as they start going down the main straight. It looks like Hinderbro will keep it straight. No, he will not. We've got Aaron Hinder. He's gone a bit deep, but it's a bit forgiving around that track as he goes wide yet again. But it looks like Hinderboy is going down on the main straight at the moment. He's got SRL, Albert and ZGS for comfort. They're both in proximity, quite close by. He may not hold it on the main straight here, as we know it's a very, very long straight. Although he does appear to be holding his own, as we can just see a little fight going on the back here. And it looks like Hinderbro is holding up the field safety car. That will be why. Let's see what's happened here. So he lost Willis and Mogi, one of my favourites before the beginning of the session. Well, that's certainly going to slow things down, but as we can take a look at the current setup, I can just make a few changes here. Well, that's a very interesting start there with the safety car. So Attawhile's made up 12 places, but we know he's got a drive-through waiting to happen. He won't be able to serve that drive-through until the safety car has gone in. So although it does look like he's had a really good start with 12 positions gained, it's most likely he'll obviously find himself back at the field at the when this race does begin. We can see Trem's made a good start. He's up into 5th place at the moment. Still trying to figure out what happened between Error, N. Willis and Mowgli. If anyone on the Discord chat can let me know, and I will forward any details on to you as and when they come in. But in the meantime, we'll wait for the safety car to catch the leader pack. And then as we look around then, we'll see a couple more changes made. So Blumchum up into 6th. A. Riley, and one that T. Keeley has gone with. Not really sure why that is. Perhaps he just really likes his commentary, so naturally he wants him to win. And to be fair, we're going to be honest, he looks like he's pretty strong around here. But while we've got the time, as Keeley has asked the question, we're just going to have a little look and see what tyre situation we've got. Now, we've got 22 lap races, so some people might be thinking of pitting under safety car, maybe going on to the hards, seeing if they can maybe get that all the way through. Or perhaps you might, if you're really careful on the driving there, you may be able to get away with the mediums. Although it does look like everyone is going onto the hards at this point. But 21 laps, depending on your setup, they may have to pit again. But in the meantime, it looks like a lot of people have decided to stay out here. So we're riding on board with James Punt at the moment, but we've got the further guys in front, and we've got gunners there at the back of this little train going on before everyone else catches up. So Attawill's also gone on the hards, knowing full well that although he doesn't have any damage, he definitely thinks he's going to need to do a one-stop race now if he's got any chance of making up some positions and maybe getting some points. So I'm just going to go through the front of the list again then. So we've got Hingerboy 444, the leader at the moment, obviously held his position from lap 1, managed to avoid the carnage there. So then we've got Albert, one of our potential pre-race favourites in 2nd. He's got off the blocks really well. He's got ZGS for comfort, and if anyone's watched these races before, ZGS does like to start on the mediums, and then he pretends to move on to the soft in the second part of the race. This is probably because then he'll obviously be the quickest guy on the track, and not only that, the fuel position is a lot lighter, so the car will naturally be much faster as we go. Then we've got Trem in the McLaren just behind, so he's also opted to stay out. Quite a lot of drivers at the front here decide to hold position and stick to their race. We've probably got another lap before the safety car is going to go in, so plenty of time to see what's going to happen with the guys at the front. But then the people on the hards at the back here, people like Blumchum, A. Riley, and Error 6 as well, they're going to come into play towards the end of this race now, because I can imagine a pit in this particular track can cost you potentially 24 or 25 seconds. So that's a big time difference when you've only got 20 laps in order to make a gap. Okay, so one more lap behind the safety car, no doubt, and then we'll get back to racing. So I think, has this changed anyone's predictions? Tom, you said you were fancying A. Riley today, a bit with Aaron there. Ben, you haven't chatted on here since the beginning to tell me who you think might well be in with a shout today. I think, for me, looking at it now, you've got to be thinking Trem, ZGS and Albert here. I mean, Hinderboy, he's an unknown, really, because I think he's only come into this league this season, so I've not raced with him. So I can't really give you anything to tell you how quick he is. But, I mean, there's only one way to find out. We'll all find out together in a few laps' time. But one thing that's also mentioning is he is in the Williams. He is in the slowest car. Now, you might be thinking that's a bit harsh for a newcomer, but what we decided to do was obviously, because the Williams was the slowest car on track, any people who decided to come after any of the regulars was then chucked into that car. We may make some changes throughout the season. We'll have to see what happens. Well, what strategy are we saying? Are we talking in terms of cars? Because I'm not an engineer, mate. I'm not going to know what other bits they're going to do. What they are going to do here is save a lot of fuel in these opening coming laps, meaning they'll be able to really push on a couple of these straights, and maybe in a couple of laps time we'll see a few things change. So I haven't seen anything being mentioned about the safety car yet. still waiting to hear. Still haven't heard either from Will. Oh, okay, so Mogi. It looked like someone tried to overtake him when they're going up the hill on the first lap. I mean, that's a really, really difficult overtake on that particular S-bend. When you're going at about 150, 160 miles an hour, there's not really room for two. But we'll have to wait till the end of the session. I imagine it will go into the race reports. And we might see some changes on that front, which is really unfortunate for Mogi, because he would have been well in this race, I would say. Everyone's starting to bunch up a little bit now because they're getting a little bit edgy because they know the safety car is probably going to be coming in this lap and we're going to begin racing once again. So it's unfortunate to hear about that, Mogi, but there's always the next race. Hopefully you can get something from there. I can see now, and we've also obviously lost Willis in those first couple of corners, so I imagine it was the two of them where the issues were coming from. Now, before the safety car goes in, you are not allowed to overtake until the beginning of the next lap. So I imagine he might slow down the cars here, just let the safety car go in. It doesn't appear like he's doing a lot of that, to be fair, but Albert is literally sticking right to him here. Is the safety car going in? It is indeed, so the race is going to start again. He hasn't really given him much time, he's just going for it off the bat. Okay, and here we go. So we're back in again. Albert, he's got a little bit of time, so he should be safe from this first corner. As we can see here that ZGS and Trem are eyeing each other up. Trem with obviously the soft compound should be quicker around here. ZGS being third is a very good position to be in, particularly when he'll be even faster towards the end of the race. As we go up the main straight where the first incident occurred, you can see all the cars getting some good traction flying through the first part of the cap. As we can see here that Albert is all over the back of that Williams. Coming down the main straight, is he going to make a move? No, I don't think he is. Is he? Oh no, he is. He's not. Oh, very tight there. Very tight between the four drivers, but good racing. ZGS though, he's just lost out to Trem here. Trem obviously on the nicer tyres, getting the acceleration to get a push past early. As we go along the next Eston. Keeley, let's see what he wants to know. Of course, we can change the gap to the next car. Let me just have a little look. I've still got to play around with this. Here we go. Right, perfect. So as you can see, a lot of positions to play for. As Trem goes on the inside of Trem, and they're battling it for the next turn. Trem will probably lose out here, although he might get the inside line on the second turn, which he does. He's held position. He's taking it. He's going to take it. But all this time they're fighting, it gives the time for Hinderboy to get a bit of a gap before they then start charging him down. So now I'm looking at the next place. Jebs is now under pressure from Butters. This main straight, another big, long straight here. You can just go flat round the entire corner. If you can hold your own there, which it looks like he is, he might go for a bit of a late break here. No, he's definitely holding his own. Let's go further, slightly back on the field as well. As you can see, Murph there in the Red Bull. He should be strong round here, being in a very, very strong car. We all know that the Mercedes, the Red Bull, are going to be the quickest sort of cars to be in. Just going to bring ourselves back to the front of the field here as we approach the main straight yet again. DRS may not have been able yet. It's normally 3 laps after any incident or any points there. As Trem has a little bit of a wobble, which might just give Hinderboy a little bit of a chance, a little bit of a breathing room, although he is gaining ever so slightly. Obviously you can run the cars with a lot more downforce, giving you a chance to get more top speed, which is very, very desirable on this track. But the only issue you've got to watch out for is that some of these corners, they are a bit slower and some of them a bit fast paced. You've got to be a bit careful, because if you overdo it early doors, you will spin out and potentially cause all kinds of trouble for the people behind you. As we see Butters and Trem, the teammates, either potentially working together here or even seeing just Butters overtaking him out on right. We probably do see a bit of team orders from time to time, but we've got to think about the constructors too. So it looks like we've got, I think we just had a bit of the car wobble off there. We did, didn't we? Yeah. Oh, and someone has span. We've got James Punt. He's obviously kept it together here, but who's dropped out here? Albert. Albert must have, did Albert spin out there? He has indeed. Oh wow, that is really unfortunate for him, and we see that Murph has also retired. I wonder if there's another coming together between the two drivers. Well, another safety car. Well, that will give Albert the chance to at least get to the pit, get a new front wing, and perhaps he might be able to make up a few places. In the meantime, we've had a couple of penalties as well. I'm just going to have a little look at those in a minute. As you can see, Albert's got a 3-second penalty, Error's got a 3-second penalty, and if we keep getting safety cars like we are at the moment, those 3 seconds are going to be massive. But as we see, we've got people now, the boys on the softs are going to come in. They've had enough now, they're going to come in, they're potentially going to go onto the mediums now, after being on maybe 6 laps. The McLaren though, double stacking. I mean, it's not a bad thing, I guess, because of the safety car, but that is going to cost them track to position to a couple of other cars on track. As we just see Wolsey's front wing being replaced there. I don't know if that was because of contact just made earlier, or perhaps it was even earlier in the race. So everyone is pretty much pit here now. So Hinderboy is down to 7, but in 0 laps, he must have pitted. So let's have a little look at the list again then before we get under racing, probably in another 2 laps time again. So we've got ZGS on front, who is yet to pit. Obviously, these safety cars aren't really helping him now, because he could have went a bit deeper, and then towards the end of the race, he could have then come back and switched on to the softs and made some headway. Now he's going to have to wait and see what happens. However, though, him and his teammate, Dunners, both in the pink weapon, as it is called, in the racing point there, in 1st and 2nd at the moment. But then we've got Blumchum and O'Reilly, previous teammates from last season, and co-commentators on a Monday night. I wonder if they're going to get dicey between the two of them. I mean, I'm not saying here that, you know, whoever finishes first is the better commentator, but I'll leave that up to you guys. What I can confirm is, yeah, you're right. It is a case that it is strict corner cutting on here, so there will be plenty of penalties. Sometimes, I must admit, Codemasters haven't done the best job with some of the corner cutting. Some of the tracks, you get one wheel off and you're getting a warning. Whereas, you know, on other tracks, you can get, you know, sometimes even almost all 4 cars off the track before you even get a warning. I think it just depends on basically finding out where you can get away with it and where not to. So, let's have a little look. Is it better I mean, obviously the soft, medium and hard are all different compounds. Obviously, depending on which one you're on, depends on how long of a race you can go. So, I mean, on the softs, you can normally do about 20 laps, but obviously that's a 100% race. So if we're taking into account this is a 50% race, you're probably looking at about 10 laps before the life on those soft tyres go. But what they don't have in durability, they make up for in pace. They're probably about a second to a second and a half quicker around it, particularly these tracks, because this track is full of quick, bindy and ended corners. So when you've got the soft tyres, you can really glide around those corners, giving it plenty of throttle as you're going around. However, as you go down the list, the mediums are obviously like a balanced tyre. They have a good amount of grip and they also have good amount of longevity. So you're looking at obviously a lot more laps on the mediums than on the softs. You could probably get another 4 or 5 laps just due to the fact it's 50%. But obviously, as you'd imagine in real life, most hard tyre compounds will do 30, sometimes 40. Unless you're Max Verstappen or Lance Stroll, of course. Obviously, they had a couple of blowouts on Sunday. But the mediums will probably go for about 15 laps, so they should all be safe. So I'm surprised not 1 or 2 others didn't decide maybe to go on the softs here. Have a bit of a gamble if you're back at the back there. Particularly maybe even Albert, thinking, knowing full well he's got the pace here after being at the front for such a long time in the race. You think maybe he would have went on the medium. I personally may have given that a try myself. Worst case scenario, it might leave you a bit vulnerable towards the last couple of laps on the race, but you know, it's a case of, do you want track position now, or are you going to bide your time and see what actually appears? Obviously, there's still, you know, 13 drivers left on track here, as we've had 3 people who have all DNF for one reason or another. So I think we're just about ready to get going again. We're just approaching the end of the second. Or no, sorry, we're all just in the middle sector of the sector 2 at the moment. Obviously, people are going to start getting a little bit edgy. What they don't want to do, though, is just get a little bit too aggressive early on and potentially have a bit of damage before all this racing even began again. But lots to play for with 15 laps remaining. Obviously, this is a long track, about a 1 minute, sort of 45s, I think, is what we'd expect, or I think is what I said earlier. So maybe 150s with the fuel load, of course. But like I mentioned earlier today, Valtteri Bottas has the quickest time on the record set of a 1 minute 46.286. We'll have to see what's going on there. But I mean, I don't think anyone's really had a chance to show their true pace at the moment. I mean, we have a little look at people's fastest laps, and not one person has managed to get under 150 yet, with Pretzel Mixer currently holding the fastest lap of a 1 minute 50.537, and that is on a medium tyre. But as the race goes on, obviously the cars will naturally get quicker with smaller fuel loads. As you can just see now, that ZGS is just doing maybe the smarter thing here. He's really let the safety car go on now, and he's starting to slow down the traffic a little bit. So he's now in control. He can decide when to go. The pack cannot go. They cannot overtake until they hit that start-finish line. But it looks like he's not going to hang around. He's just going to go for it. So he's managed to get a little bit of time in front of his teammate here. As we can see, the gap is just under a second now. That should give him enough space, although Dunners has got a good exit here. He's bringing the back down to 0.6. He won't get him here, but he may get him as he just locks up slowly in that first corner there. So as we see down the main straight, we're going to see a couple of position changes here. So we've got Blumtrum all over the back here. Well, a little bit further back than he'd like to be. But Riley, however, he is right on his tail. As we just see them coming down the main straight here, it does look like there could be a position change here if he can hold it together. So Riley's gone round the outside as we just see James Punt picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's likely to be a corner cut. So Blumtrum has lost out there, although he will still be well end of a shout here, but he's going to be under pressure. As we've got Preston Mixer behind on the medium tyre, so he's going to be a bit quick around here. So that means he's going to need to get past, and he's going to get on with his race. But he's under 5 laps old as well, so if he doesn't get a move on soon, those tyres will start to fade. So I'm just going to go back to the front now, as we can see that ZGS just pulled out a bit of a gap here on Dunners. Now, what they don't want to do is where they're both teammates, they do not want to go in at the same time here and double stack, because that will potentially ruin one of their races. Okay, so this is what we're looking at the moment. So, as you can see, the interval here between the leader, we can just see here that there's quite a big gap here. As it's just quick little look at the penalties. No one else has really picked anything up, as we can see. Let's just have a look here. So we'll bring up some lap data as well. So the gap to the leader now, as you can see, there's a big gap forming already. I mean, you'd probably expect a second between each car as a safety margin, as a safety net, as it were. As we see now, Butters getting a 3-second time. And Trem. Oh, it looks like everyone's getting the penalties now. As we see, there we go, a much quicker lap time, a 1:47.7.22 from ZGS at the front of the pack. He's now starting to push on a little bit here. As we just see, errors retired from the session at a sector, yellow flag in sector 3. Oh, we're going to have a third safety car. Is this race ever going to get going? As we just see everyone coming to a stop yet again. Now, there's no way that the boys at the front here, the boys who haven't pitted, are going to stay. They're going to stay out. One of them is going to have to pit, you'd imagine, and go on to the medium tyre. Well, but saying that, they've only got the choice, really, of the soft or the hard, because you have to go on 2 different tyre compounds, because otherwise, you'll be penalised at the end of the race, and there will be, I don't know if it disqualifies you, or whether or not you get a time penalty, but with the limited laps you've got, you wouldn't want a good 8 or 9 second time penalty hanging over your head, would you? So I'm just going to keep an eye on those 2 now, just as we see them coming up to the front here. Is ZGS going to pit? I mean, we're going to find out shortly. And while we wait for that to happen, is he just touches the grass a little bit. Not really the best corner to touch the gravel on, because it's very easy to spin around that corner. As he just comes to the end of, or in the midsection of sector 2, shall I say, sorry. Obviously the delta here is having a big difference. Everyone's having to go much slower around the track. So I'll have a little look at the position changes. There's been a lot of movement. Particularly everyone in the top 7 has made up some really good places here. So 10 being the best here between Dunners and A. Riley. Some strong contenders for driver of the day, potentially. But we've got a lot of racing yet to do here, so that could be a bit premature. I mean, I think looking at it now, obviously ZGS has got to be favourite as well. You know, he's got to go onto those soft tyres. He's elected to stay out, whereas his teammate, he's also done the same. I'm surprised actually. I would have thought one of them would have pitted. Both bearing in mind they are both on the medium tyre. I'm going to have to say, for me, that seems like a mistake. I think someone should have definitely have pitted there. Because what they're now going to do is they're going to have to play that game where obviously person in front obviously gets the choice of most likely of who goes in first. But the last thing you want is to get a bit of a gap, not realise your teammate's gone in because you can't see him, and you both bundle into the pits at the same time. I mean, Albert has decided that he's at the back, so he's just gonna get off those hard. He's got another front wing change. He's obviously find it really hard to adapt to that AlphaTauri. Bearing in mind, obviously, when the cars are equal, we're talking engine, aerodynamics, a lot. So obviously, a lot of these cars handle a lot differently around these tracks. So it could just be that perhaps he's not really getting it to stick as much as he wants. Obviously, you can play a lot with the car in terms of you can change the downforce on the car, you can change the suspension, you can change the brake bias. All of those can have a big impact on how the car runs. I mean, for example, a car like Ferrari, you might want to run more downforce because we know that the Ferrari is not very good in a straight line, but it is very good in the corners. So it's just a case of how much of that do you sacrifice, knowing full well you're going to get around the track quicker than anybody else in these bendy, quick sections. But what they won't do is obviously on this straight line here, they are going to get blitzed by our position drivers, particularly if they're in within the DRS zone. So as we saw them, so it looks like Albert did go onto the soft tyre, which is what I would have expected, particularly from people more at the end of at the back of the track who might be thinking, what's the best way to make up a few places here? Because I can't imagine anybody else is going to be stopping now, except for obviously the front two who are yet to pit. So I just look at it, Tom's still saying A. Riley for the win. I mean, he's got a little bit too much faith for my liking. Perhaps there's been a little bit of wheeler dealing going underneath. Maybe Harry Redknapp's in the scan because we all know he loves a wheeler dealer. So we're waiting for what is our third safety car of the evening, and we're not even into midway point of the race yet. This is certainly interesting, but I mean, there have been quite a few bigger sort of losers so far here with, I mean, what looks to be both the Red Bulls are out, one of the Mercedes is out, Mogi and the Renault is out, so there's quite a lot of players missing, quite a lot of points here. So I'm just going to rerun through the constructors while we've got a moment. So like I said before, we have the AlphaTauri in first place with 53 points, followed by the McLaren on 47. Obviously, it looks like the Racing Point in third here on 30 points could be doing very well in this race, but obviously they still need to pit. So we'll find out whether or not that was a big mistake from them boys and not pitting earlier and taking advantage of the safety car. I mean, if he decides to pit now, he's going to be right at the back now because it's allowed people to catch up. As we see, Trem's decided to go into the pits. I wonder if he was holding on to a bit of damage there. Interestingly though, he's decided not to gamble. He's come back out on the mediums to make sure he can finish the next 11 laps. But what it will do is he's got plenty of time to catch the field. And obviously everybody else, except for the two front runners, are mainly on hards at this point, except maybe Pressing Mixer, who must have pitted. Yeah, he's pitted after lap 3. We'll have to see what's going on there. But at the moment, we're seeing a good showing from James Punt as well, because he had a bit of contact early on in the race, and he's managed to get himself back up into 7th. So we've got Riley in 3rd, James Punt in 7th, so that's good for the AlphaTauri team. You've got the Renaults on 28 points at the moment, but obviously with only Butters running, but he is running in a healthy 6th place. So it's all looking okay for him. Then you've got shortly following the Ferrari on 24 points. We've got Pressing Mixer, who he does love the Ferrari. He was there last season. I don't know if he's been asked if he can stay in the Ferrari or whether or not he just got lucky. But he's back in the Ferrari for this season. He's sitting in a healthy 4th place. And then you've got the Haas with 12 points. Now, the teams that are yet to score really are the Alfa Romeo team and the Williams. Williams only have one drive at the moment because I'm not sure if the league is full at this point. I think we only have 18 or 19 drivers on the grid at the moment. I myself was on the grid, but I decided that I'd take up a bit of a commentary position. I thought maybe I'd only do it as a one-time thing, and before I knew it, I'm there every week now, every Thursday night, 8:30. Obviously, come and join me. Keep my life entertaining, if you will. We know the safety car is coming in this lap. So again, I imagine ZGS, yep, he's let that safety car go by quite some distance yet again, while he just tries to weave a little bit to keep some temperature in those tyres. We all know that obviously the harder the compound, the harder they are to warm up. So what you're going to find here is not only the mediums are quicker, they're also going to hit temperature a lot quicker than the other tyres. So they're going to push on here a lot quicker than the rest of the field. So now ZGS is obviously going for it now with Dunners in close proximity. They're going to need to build a bit of a gap here so that when they pit, they're not at the back of the grid, because they're going to have a lot of overtaking to do as we head down the main straight. So leading from ZGS to Dunners to Aaron, and we've got Preston Mixer in fourth. We're seeing a little bit of a change here between Attawil and James Punt as it all gets a little bit dicey in first one. He's going to take him back on the inside though. That Williams is just into the points again on the 9th place. Although all 4 cars here really fighting for track position at the moment. But I'm just going to have a little look here as I see Preston Mixer is getting pretty close to the back of Riley here. Let's just see if he manages to hold that as he goes down, as Albert gets himself another penalty. No, he's definitely held position there. But I mean, the bad thing is that Preston Mixer, although he's on the softer compound, he has done 9 laps on these. So he may have lost the fresh rubber needed to help get past Aaron at this point. But again though, ZGS, 1.5 seconds. We haven't even gone around 1 lap yet, and he's already stretching his gap out quite nicely. This will come in massively when it comes to the pit stop that he's inevitably got to take. Now, whether or not he keeps going on these mediums for as long as possible, whether or not he just decides, I'm just going to come in at the end of this lap. If he does, it will just confirm what I said earlier. Perhaps he should have pitted a bit sooner. So no real changes at the moment. I see Albert's up into 10th place at the moment, but he is going to be probably the quickest man on the track at the moment. But we must also bear in mind, I think he's had a couple of penalties. So we're just going to need to have a look at those penalties in detail in shortly. So we can just see here that he's on 6 seconds. That's going to have a big impact when you've only got 10 laps to make up the difference. I can't imagine he's going to make a big impact on this race now with those penalties, unless some of the others decide to jump in on this. So as you can see then, we're just going to approach the front of the field again as ZGS puts in another fastest lap of the race. What we'd expect now, he's probably going to give them tyres all he's got over the next 2 or 3 laps, and he's going to have to pit because they are going to leave him pretty soon. But as we go back here, I can see Blumchum is very close to the backs of Preston Mixer. So not only has he not really made an impression so far on Riley, he might end up losing a place in this main straight. So we've got Blumchum and Butters very close behind here. We could see 3 cars going into one corner, depending on whether or not they get a DRS on this main straight. You can just see already he's trying to defend. He's gone on the inside lane. Can't weave about too much though, because obviously you're only allowed to make 1 positional change. So I'm just seeing here, we can see some changes. We've got a little bit of dicing going on between the 3 drivers here. Look at that. All of them on all different kind of tyres, soft, medium and hard, all being in action here. I imagine that the Ferrari might lose out here. As it just see Albert just beating him around the outside. He's still within touching distance. He might decide to keep going here. Let's just have a little look on the back of that. He's definitely got that done, and I can't see how that Ferrari is going to keep pace with, even though it is an Alfa Romeo, the soft tyre advantage is just too big. So we've got a fair few penalties now starting to form, but the good news for the front runners is it's mainly the guys at the back. This is going to be a big help for people at the front that still need to pit in Dunners and ZGS. It's just whether or not case they can keep it clean for the remaining 8 laps. Or maybe we're going to have a world record here and have a 4th safety car in as many laps. I really hope not, because I don't know about you, but it's a bit boring when people have to be restricted in what they're doing. As we just see James Punt here, just trying to make an impression now. He's sitting on the cusp of the points in the 10th place. As you just see that DRS has been enabled. Now, a lot of these cars aren't really within a second of each other, so that means that the DRS isn't really going to get much of a chance to make an impression. But what we will know is we've got Butters here who's 0.6 seconds behind Blumchum, and Blumchum 0.7 behind Preston Mixer. He is not going to get DRS down this main straight. He is going to be a sitting duck when well, it is a Haas though. Well, maybe not. He's just loading very, very low on ERS as well. He's used it up quite early, which means he might actually be under pressure here from Butters. We'll have to see what's going on here. Is he going to go for it? He is. No, he's just backed out at the last minute. Probably the safest thing to do. He could just stay with him. He can get him on the next lap. Butter's holding his ERS there at 48%. He's going to have an extreme advantage over Blumchum there, who's just, you know, without a matter of speaking, has blown his load a little bit too early. So he's going to have to recharge for the next couple of corners, maybe even a lap or two, because he's going to need it to defend against that McLaren, because we all know the McLaren in this realistic game is obviously quicker than the Haas, particularly on the straight line. So no real massive changes. We can see that Trem is getting closer to the back of Woolsey now. So Woolsey is in that Mercedes though. He has got the engine. He has got the best car on track by a country mile, really. Well, maybe not so much this season, but obviously the changes for that hasn't been changed. The only thing that they've been changing so far in this game is the driver ratings. But obviously these guys don't have ratings here. Just see a little slight yellow sector there, so someone may have just gone off track briefly. But it all seems to have cleared up now. So I'm just going to have a little gap to the leader here as we see ZGS is definitely pulling away now. He's got a nice couple of Dunners decides he's had enough. He's going to come in now. He's only got 7 laps remaining. So he's got 7 laps to really make an impression on what I would expect to be the soft tyre. And yep, nice slick change there as we just come in. Obviously I can't expect it to be any different. So ZGS, however, though, with this gap he's got of 5 seconds to the AlphaTauri of Riley in second place here. So if he makes this pit stop, he's probably going to be coming out. I mean, where's his teammate? His teammate has come all the way at the back. That can't be right. Maybe it is. 21 seconds difference. He could be looking at going from first to last. Oh, Albert has retired. And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1 and a virtual safety car being deployed. Oh, so it looks like Albert's lost control there, and he's just decided to maybe plant it into a wall, or perhaps he's locked the front brakes up and he's just lost all speed there. But we've got a virtual safety car. This will potentially help ZGS though, because we can get to those pits. Mind you, I would imagine the virtual safety car would end before he gets a chance to pit. But if he does, this could be a big helping hand here, because he's got a good gap to the rest of the pack, apologies. So he's got 8 seconds now on the rest of the sun. Yeah, that's right, Keely. Yeah, ZGS does still need to pit. His teammate has just pitted. And unfortunately for him, although they were running pretty strongly in first and second, he's now back of the grid. So the virtual safety car is still in effect here. This could play really well into his hands here. Virtual safety car is still ongoing, as we're just going to have a little look now and we'll watch in. As ZGS, surely he's coming into the pits for this lap. Oh, unfortunately though, racing's now underway. It's only a matter of time now before Riley comes steaming up and he takes the first place position. Bearing in mind he is also pitted. As you can see there that Preston Mixer is in third. He's still managing to hold on to that place. This also would have helped Blumchum, or maybe not. I would have expected he would have more ERS to play with after the virtual safety car there. But Butters is into third at the moment. Trem's managed to get himself back up into 6th place, but he does have a 3-second time penalty. So although he won't lose any places, because pretty much everyone behind him is also on a 3-second time penalty. ZGS, it looks like he's managed to do a bit better than his teammate though. He's come out in 8th place. So he's now got 6 laps to see whether or not he can maybe make a couple of places up here. He's got 4 seconds to James Punt and another 4 seconds to Trem. I wouldn't be surprised though if he gets up into that 4th or 5th position there with those soft tyres towards the end of the race. As you can just see here that Trem's having a big old battle with Blumchum at the moment. Just going to have a little look at the tyre wear here, because obviously some of these guys are going to start to struggle. So as you can see, Blumchum's on 13 laps on those hard tyres, but I tell you what, he doesn't look like he's struggling really. He's giving Trem a bit of trouble here, and I don't know if he's got any problems. Trem, is he missing an end plate or anything? It doesn't appear to be. So it's just a case of maybe he hasn't quite got those tyres up to temperature yet. But the longer he holds this position, it's going to be very unlikely that Blumchum's going to be able to get past him. If anything, he's going to start losing traction soon. Bearing in mind that he is in a McLaren and you've got Blumchum in the Haas. So I haven't mentioned Wolsey today, but he's got himself in a fine position of 4th place at the moment. He obviously pitted really early and he's managed to keep himself on pretty decent lap times. Obviously the safety cars have helped, so a lot of the fighting and action has been robbed of us so far this evening. Butters, he's got the penalty, but he is making decent headway here on pressing Mixer. Now he's got fresher tyres, albeit on the hards, but that McLaren will potentially be a bit quicker than that Ferrari in a straight line speed. So I'm just going to hold on with Butter here, just going to follow him as we go down this straight, and we get to, as you can see here, this flat out little mini sort of S-bend as you come up here. Although Preston Mixer is flying away here, he should still get DRS, yep, as you can see. This is then going to have a big impact, but he has only got 17% ERS. Although, by the looks of it, he's not going to need it. He's taking him on the outside. He'll easily get that down to temperature and take that corner nicely. Nicely done, up into second place. Now he's going to want to start charging down, if he can, into A. Riley's. And it does look like, though, looking at Tom's previous prediction, as bold as it might have been, bearing in mind I believe he started in about 10th place, might be coming to fruition here. So I'm just going to look at the fastest lap. As you can see, ZGS is at a 1:47.4. He is, you know, him and his teammate are obviously going to be the quickest cars on track, where they've had to pit late on and they are on the soft compound. Nobody else is on that. So I would expect them to make a big impression in terms of James Punt and Blumton are going to be under pressure at some point. Maybe they might get away with it, maybe they won't. But if they're going at about a second and a half quicker per lap, then obviously they're going to make pretty big indents. So that 7-second gap and 8-second gap accordingly at the moment. But let's have a little look at some of the others. So I think Trem could still be with a shout here. He looks to get those tyres up to temperature now. He's left Blumtum a bit. He's got a bit more of a gap now, as you can see. He's now trying to get Woolsey. And although Woolsey is in the Mercedes, that McLaren's on lap 5 older mediums. And you can see that he's within that second range. I mean, there is a bit of a train coming on here now, actually, between second place and 5th. You've obviously got 7th and 8th and 9th are just losing out ever so slightly now. ZGS puts in another very quick time of a 1:47.1, and then Dunners instantly replied with a 1:46.9. So they are both going along very strongly here. So we're coming off to the second DRS zone, or maybe first, I guess, as you technically get the DRS before the start-finish line. But I'm just going to have a little look here as we see, looking at Trem, as he's just flying down. He's not making absolute impression on Wolsey at all. I mean, he must be flying a really, really low downforce car. But that's having some big impact on him when he's going around these corners. You can see him just wobbling himself out a little bit. Perhaps he's just feeling a little bit under pressure because he knows that Trem is in real close proximity here. He's having to back out of it almost. He thought about going in there. It's a bit of a dangerous one if he decides to plant that on the inside. But good experience for him to decide to back out and just bide his time. He shouldn't need to rush. He's still got 4 laps to give this a go. Although what he can't afford to do is back out in these corners and give him a chance to get away from him yet again. Because now ZGS is up into 6th place already. He is absolutely flying here. So this is why Trem probably wants to get a hurry on. He wants to get round Wolsey in that Mercedes as quick as possible because he knows that ZGS is going to be coming back at him. So I'm just stay on board with him for a little bit. As you can just see here that he's not really gaining much at this point. But soon enough, because of the fact that Trem has got the DRS, that should help him combat against ZGS. But obviously around the corners, ZGS is going to be able to get on the power a lot quicker. As we just see here, Trem has just got himself another penalty. So I think that might be his second. Indeed it is. ZGS, 1:46.5. He obviously really wants to get back up here. I mean, if he can get past Trem pretty quickly, he may even see himself still get onto a podium here. But I mean, I'm just looking at the back of this train now, but you can see Trem is a lot closer to Wolsey, so let's ride on board. Wolsey also going on to press the mixer here. I don't think Trem's going to be able to make an impression, but what we will see here is Wolsey is probably going to give it a go here. No, he's too far back, and pressing mixer really late on the braking there, well held. As you see, Butter now in a bid to try and catch Riley up. He's now got a 6-second time penalty. As we just see Wolsey. Wolsey's retired from he's spun, and he's taking him out. He's taken himself out, and we've now got a third safety car, ladies and gents, sorry. Shouldn't be sexist, really. Well, that's pretty much going to put a big halt on proceedings now. We've had so many DNS today. So we've had Wolsey, Albert, Error, Murphy, Willis, Mogi, all DNF today. I mean, some of that's been because of a racing incident. So, I mean, we'll find out later on whether or not you know, whether there was anyone at fault. But obviously, as you all know, if you've played this game before, it's never your fault, is it? It's always the other driver, because let's be honest, when you're racing, that's the only way you're going to think. So now with a safety car coming back into play, what that is going to do is that's going to help ZGS, isn't it? He's on those soft tyres, they're not very old, but he's only going to get one lap, I think, in order to do this. So the safety car is going to be brought out now, and it will probably be out for 2 laps' time. So there's every opportunity that we'll either have one more lap of racing, or we're going to end it under a safety car now, which I'm going to be honest would be a huge disappointment. I don't know about you guys, but I really would have preferred a couple more laps, because I really wanted to see how ZGS was going to do on those soft tyres, because he had a chance to really fly through the field there. So, don't know why Blum's going in for a pit. That's a really interesting strategy. I suppose he's thinking, I'm only going to lose 2 places, but if he goes onto the soft tyre now, he'll be the quickest car on track. I mean, although the Haas isn't the quickest on the field, but with low fuel, tyre degradation from the rest of the field, and not to mention the penalties, although he does have 6 himself, he may be able to make some impact. It's a bit of a gamble, but not really when you think you might only have 1 lap, I guess. But it looks like this is Riley's to lose now, so I'm gonna be honest, I'm very upset. Not because I dislike Riley as a person, absolutely not. I just don't like it when my friends are right, to be honest. So, T. Keeley could be right. I mean, do you know what, mate? I'll tell you what. As I know how much of an ale man you are, if it does stay this way, I will buy you an ale of your choosing. However, if he plants this into the wall, I think the beards are on you, my friend. I'll tell you though, someone who has been very quiet here is our fellow streamer Ben Hudson. Normally he's well on there, perhaps it's because he's used to seeing me race rather than commentate. I must admit this is certainly something I've never done before, but I must admit I'm enjoying myself. I hope you guys are too. So the safety car is obviously incredibly slow around these tracks, not intentionally. You are a novice at this, but yeah, I mean, you've made a good bet. You've obviously seen races in the past, so you've seen a couple of these guys and you've seen that Riley can do a good job, as can obviously quite a lot of the others here. I'm not surprised to see Butters, Preston Mixer, Trem, as we see. Oh, okay boys, we're going to get 2 laps of racing, so maybe Blumchum was right in order of going onto that, but I can see Riley really getting his elbows out now, knowing full well there's only 2 laps to go. So let's just have a little look at that tyre condition. So Riley has been on those tyres for 17 laps, so although they're probably still going to be in good nick, because the hard tyres will go on for a bit while. You've got Preston Mixer on the mediums, Trem on the mediums. I mean, ZGS for me, he's still the one, even with 2 laps to go. If he can get this going with the safety car, everyone's ERS is probably all back to 100%. Now we'll see the safety cars going in here. Now Riley hasn't gone. He's waiting until the last absolute second here as he starts to get down that corner. Doesn't want to give Butters a chance to get him on the inside, which I don't think he will. To be honest, Tom, you're right. Preston Mixer could have it. He's under a bit of pressure there from Trem. I mean, Trem's still in this. I mean, I would say Preston Mixer's going to struggle here because he's got 18-lap-old mediums. I think he's really going to be struggling, particularly around the last corners. As you can see here, look, Trem's got such better traction coming out of that corner. And he's going to get him here. If he's got the ERS, which he has, he's got the slipstream. He's got the inside. If he can be bold here, he's got to go late on the braking. Oh, there's going to be contact. Oh, he's not yielding, Preston Mixer, is he? Oh, I really thought Trem was going to have that then, but he's going to have to buy his time. He's going to have to wait. As we just have a little look here, ZGS now is really wanting that place from Trem, as Trem does a little bit wider on the exit, but that will allow him to get on the power a bit earlier. Although Trem's lost it, and ZGS has taken the place. That's a rare mistake from Trem. He's not going to be happy with himself with that one. He's going to, after being so close to Preston Mixer and potentially taking a podium, he's now dropped down into 5th place. Perhaps those tyres haven't quite warmed up yet, bearing in mind the safety car has only just gone in, you know, half a lap ago. So ZGS though, bit of a freebie from him. He's now going to put on a charge on Preston Mixer here with his very, very worn tyres. I would love to see what sort of percentages those performances are, as now Trem gets himself a 3-second warranty for multiple warnings for corner cutting. We've now got a yellow flag. Oh, it looks like Trem's lost it. Yeah, Trem's retired from the session. He must have lost it coming out, probably putting the power down a little bit too early. And as a result, the car just doesn't have the traction as it would do when it's obviously on fresh tyres. So we're looking at Dunners, the other pink weapon as it's called, as James Punt, who I must say, he's gone flying back up the field after his earlier, his earlier battles with previous drivers who are currently out of the race. We've only got 9 people left at this point. So Dunners though, both of the racing points are going to make good points here if they can keep it going as we're on the last lap now. I mean, I'm just going to have a little look here at ZGS because he's 0.1 second behind Preston Mixer. He's got to get him here he's on the inside nice and early as he tries to just force him onto the gravel, or the grass even, just a little bit. That Ferrari has got the straight line speed though, hasn't it? He's obviously pushing all out here with his ERS management. He's done, I must say, Preston Mixer, you've done very well here, mate, to keep this place so far. But ZGS is not going to give it up. As I can see, Blumchum, who's made headway now, he's up into 8th place. He's obviously made a position up, but he's got quite a few penalties here. So we have a little look at the penalties. We know they're going to make some big difference. I feel really sorry for Butters, to be honest, because he had a chance of winning this race if it wasn't for those penalties. So even if he does get Riley on these last lap, I can't imagine he's going to get enough space. Good news is, with only 9 people left on the track, everyone is guaranteed points here. I mean, is it going to end this way? Preston Mixer, it looks like he's going to fly up into 2nd place though. And all of that just because he's been really clean throughout this race. I'm going to keep an eye on Butters just to see if he thinks, oh, do you know what? You know, it's a bit of mind games, isn't it? If he can get through and overtake him, it might just put a little bit of knowledge in his back pocket there and say, Riley, I've got you in my pocket for the next race. But it doesn't look like he's going to do that. Riley is going to take this. He's obviously led a very comfortable and safe race. He's kept his nose clean. He went onto the hards after lap 3 and he's basically just carried on going air on in all after that. And Riley takes it home. Just as DRS has been enabled. Obviously won't have any difference to the front runners here. As you can see though, Dunners has managed to get himself up into 3rd place. And again, that's because of the penalties. The penalties having a massive impact today. What an unbelievable start that is then. So that is some really, really good stuff from all the drivers there. I'm really, really pleased for Riley, who so far has been given preliminary driver of the day. Obviously we've got another race to go yet, so keep your hair on, Keeley. It could change in the next race. I mean, I'm hoping for a lot less safety cars, shall I say. But, well, driver of the day, Riley. Yes, I see your comments, Tom. I do see your comments. As much as I'm trying my best to avoid them. I suppose, obviously, the game has given it to him. I don't have to give it to him. But unfortunately, for some people, I'm probably going to have to stick with it. I mean, he started 13th. He got himself up to 1st. Feel a bit sorry for ZGS, really, and Dunners, because they really were doing really well and making good headway at the front of the pack there. But unfortunately, those safety cars have just killed them. Obviously, Dunners as well, picking up a couple of... sorry, not Dunners, apologies. ZGS picking up a few penalties. So just to confirm then, Riley is your race winner here, with Preston Mixer in 2nd, Dunners in 3rd, James Punt in the AlphaTauri in 4th, who started 14th on the grid. So not only has Riley made up an impressive 12 places, his teammate has also made up 10 places. That's going to have a big change on the constructors in terms of bigging that gap up a little bit more to the rest of the field. So as I mentioned, they were 6 points clear of McLaren before, but unfortunately with Trem dropping out, that only gives Butters as the point scorer in McLaren. I mean, I won't be able to tell you guys where that all sits because I'm not going to lie. As much as I love a spreadsheet, as much as the next guy, I'm not going to sit here and obviously start dotting up those points. Thankfully, I'm only here to talk you guys through the evening. I don't have to do all of the hard and intense stuff. I just get to sit back, put my fan on, put my feet up, have a little glass of Pepsi, which I've neglected for the last half an hour, and that's all due to the intense racing. So, for those of you that are new to this, what's going to happen now is, we've done the 50% race, which obviously has taken a lot longer than what it normally would, due to the fact we've had 4 safety cars. I mean, I must admit, of all the racing I've done with the Slydog Racing League on the Monday and, you know, for a couple of races on the Thursday, I have not seen that many DNFs before. It's like we were watching an unranked lobby for a moment there, as Riley just chimes in with his "yeah boy" comment. Yeah. Stick your nose elsewhere, mate. Concentrate on your driving. But do you know what? I can't be too harsh on the man. I have to give him credits where he's due. He's obviously driven really well, and he's managed to get himself first place. Now, I believe the custom grid for this, I'm just going to check the rules, but I believe it's reverse grid for the feature race. So the good news is the people finishing in 9th and 10th will finish first. Because of the DNFs, I believe they're all going to start behind them at the back of the grid, depending on when they crashed out. So I imagine that means Trem will probably be in 11th. And then obviously from there on in, we've obviously had quite a few DNFs there. As Tom Keeley again is, look, you know, I've not raced for 1 week and he's already got his finger in another driver's bumhole. So can you keep your nose away from this, Keeley, mate? I'm getting jealous, alright? Save all your comments for Monday night, please. Oh, Jesus. Friends these days, eh? No bloody loyalty whatsoever, is there? So we're going to have to wait for the drivers to basically resort the custom grid out, get everyone back in, get some refreshments, and we'll see what's going to happen. So there'll be no safety car. Oh, and the starting... I apologise, actually. It looks like the starting grid is random. So anyone could be anywhere. Pot luck. That will make things really interesting on turn 1, seeing who's where, because there'll be a few anxious drivers there that have missed out on some really good points. They're going to need to... they're certainly going to want to make an impression on this second feature race. Now, the good news is, obviously, there's a lot less time. So you had 25% race distance this time. So although all of the same rules will still be in effect, except there'll be no safety car. So if they do crash and they manage to keep it together, they're not going to get the joy of having a potential safety car to help them out. So people are going to have to be extremely careful. So it looks like they're already ready to go. They've obviously thought we've wasted enough time this evening with the safety cars. We're just going to get straight into it. Oh, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Yeah, back to me Monday night. Literally, mate, you're like a cheap hoe, you are. Yeah, me on a Monday and then Riley on a Thursday. I'd like to know what he thinks of all this. I don't know. Maybe Riley doesn't want your support. Well, while we've got a little bit of time, I suppose, while we're waiting, I'll just give you some just a small fact about Spa. Does anyone know anything about Spa? Sorry, on the chat there. Can anyone tell me when the first Grand Prix was held here? I mean, I'll give you a minute or two to say that, and if you don't say by then I'll let you know. But what I can tell you is, obviously, we're not sure whether or not Spa will continue to be on the racing calendar for this season, just because of the coronavirus. We've obviously had a few tracks drop out. Like, we were meant to be at Canada just the weekend just gone, but unfortunately that was scrapped. Obviously we had Baku before that as well, so there's a few places. If I remember rightly, Singapore is also no longer going to be a part of the calendar this season, which I must admit is a massive shame, because I really do enjoy watching that race, but I do not like being in it myself. I don't know about you guys, if any of you guys play the game on the stream, but for me, Monaco, Singapore, China, I just can't get on with those tracks. I really seem to struggle. I normally plant it on the wall, to be honest, but that's because in these leagues we normally run, I think it's medium traction control, which means that if you have it on full, basically it just means as soon as you're around the corner, you can just put your foot down and the car will go. Whereas when you start changing it up and you start changing your assists, it makes it a lot more difficult to race. So when you're coming out of the corners, you can't just give it a full throttle. You actually have to gradually ease into it, because before long, if you put too much behind it, as you've probably seen in that previous race there, some people obviously struggling to keep the car on the track. Now, we're allowed any assist on this league. As like I said before, this is sort of like a sister team. This is kind of like the AlphaTauri League compared to the Monday Stream Boys. And obviously there's some very talented, very quick drivers. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'm sure we're all aware of Granty Boy, for example, who just, week in, week out, just seems to have some massive pace wherever you look at. It doesn't matter what track it is, he just sets the world on fire, doesn't he? But it does look like we're ready to start this session. So we're just going to wait for the teams to set themselves up. But I think I can see there, just in the corner of the screen, I think I can see an AlphaTauri that's going to be sitting here in third place already. So that's going to be very lucky for the AlphaTauri boys if they've managed to somehow get a randomizer and get it put to the front of the grid. I don't think there's any formation lap on this, so it doesn't look like I'm going to get a chance to have a little rest. But, you know, I best not complain. I mean, I'm only doing this for free, but, you know, who cares if I'm uncomfortable, you know? But anyway, less about me, more about racing. So we've got the session will be starting now in the next 10 seconds. We're just waiting for the drivers, who are obviously just choosing their setups now. Obviously, they can change it again now because it's a separate race. So it'll be interesting to see if they just stick to what they had. Some people might have more than one different setup for the different races. Obviously, I say that, we're not even going to get a chance to stay, because here we go. We're going to go again. And the lights are out early doors. Oh, look at Albert. He gets to start in first position here. Although he does look like he's just lost out to Blum on the line here. Although, oh no, but he's gone deep. Is he going to hold it onto the track? He has. He's gone a bit wide. As I can just see the McLaren going wide and a few others. I can see a couple of L plates missing. As everyone's fighting for position here, as Riley is now back into the front. He's been able, oh, James Punt, but his teammate is gone. He is DNF'd. I thought, what? No, Riley's ploughed it into the wall. Oh, wow, what has happened there? He must have just lost it on the track there. But, I mean, there are still 14 races still going on here. As you can see, Blumchum has taken it into the front here. There's no safety car being deployed, obviously, because there is no safety car on this feature race. So we're going to continue now. As you can see, Blumchum going down into what is quite a complex corner here. You can't really give it too much, because you want to get on the power really early there, but you can't. You just end up losing space. So, I mean, we've got Blumchum in the lead then, with Albert trying to make amends after crashing out in the last session in second place. He's got Mogi for comfort here, who's extremely quick on this course. And he's also got the soft tyres on compared to Albert on the mediums here. So you'd expect Mogi to really make an impact early doors here and start chasing down Blumchum if he can. But as you can see, though, there's a fight going on here between ZGS and Butters. They're all still going for it. A lot cleaner this time round. It looks like we're getting a lot more cleaner racing this time round. As you can see, a few more Preston mixers down at the bottom here. Seems to be trading places here with Atwee and his actual teammate here. Yeah, I can just see Kenny doing a little face palm there. How the mighty have fallen. It's a really unfortunate part of the game, but unfortunately, particularly at the beginning of the races, when those tyres aren't warm and you don't get that formation lap, it's really easy to palm it into the wall, as you've just seen there with O'Reilly. But if that isn't the case, Riley, and it is the case that someone has maybe had a little bit of contact here, get in touch, let me know. So we can see people pitting early doors. I wonder whether they've had some damage on their cars for this one, because that's really interesting. So he's instantly coming in. What's he going to be going on here? Hinderbro. He took a tap from the Haas. Oh, that's so unfortunate to hear after such a strong start. So we've got one Williams getting a front replaced, Dunners getting his front wing replaced. We've got Murph also coming into the pits with pressing mixer by the looks of it, while there's still changes going on at the front here. So let's focus on the people not in the pit lane, shall we? So as you can see here, you've got ZGS in 5th place, starting on always, like he always does. Loves starting on those medium. It's like it's his favourite tyre. He just likes to be in the race towards the end, I guess, and I can understand that. Albert's going a bit wide there, and Butters really wants to make an impression here. I'm not sure what Blumchum's doing there. He's got a bit of time in front of himself, but he's all over the place. He's managed to get himself a 3-second time penalty. That's going to be really dangerous towards the end of this race here, as I just see another DNF and in sector 1. I don't know if there was any contact there between Willis and his and the Hinderboy there or not, but he is now out of the race as well. So that's a yellow sector flag in sector 1, but it appears to have been cleared up now. So I'm going to keep an eye on this leading pack here as Mogi has just got the speed. He's gone round the outside and Blum has just got no defence whatsoever. But at the same time, he's okay with this happening now because he knows that he's on the soft tyre. Blum, to be fair, Blum is also on the soft actually. I take it back. I thought perhaps he was on the mediums, but clearly I was not paying attention. Let's have a little look here. So I try and detail, position change. So you see a lot of position changes from the word go as you see Mogi with the fastest lap of 1:47.6. He is already going to be making some headway in that first place. And I can see him just pulling a little bit of a gap now to Blumchum, just as DRS has just been able, which is perfect for him now. So he shouldn't have any problems he can just keep the car on track and just go about his business. But let's have a little look at the rest of the tyre changes here. So we've got a bit of a mixture. Most people are still on the softs, but we've had 4 or 5 drivers at the back here have all gone onto the mediums from the word go. Now it's only a 25% race, but they should be able to hold those until the end of the race. They shouldn't be pitting again. And obviously with no safety car on this track as well, due to this being obviously off in the feature race, you can't imagine too many. They're not going to get any helping hand, because I don't think they don't even get a virtual safety car as a result. So as you can see, Mogi is obviously at the front at the moment. He's got a little bit of a gap here to Blumchum. I'm just going to go and check and get the gaps in front of me now, just so everyone can see it as well as me, as myself. As Tom mentioned here, Trem has made up 9 places so far, starting at the back of the grid almost in 15th, and he now finds himself in 6th. Butters also 6 places he's been able to get himself up. So a really good start from him and my ex-teammate, shall I say, on a Monday night. So looking at the gaps at the moment, you can just see here, Albert, he's got his first penalty of the session. I really think he's just struggling with that Alfa Romeo. It's obviously quite hard to handle. And obviously where the car's unrealistic as well, sometimes it can make it really difficult to deal with. But as you can see though, he has got Butters for company, and Butters obviously wants to make way. As you can just see here, Trem is all over it. A little bit of that. He almost ruined his race there by going into the pit wall. But you can see now Trem and his teammate Butters both finding themselves in excellent positions here. They're now fighting for position. Question is he going to let him go? Is he just going to let Trem go, or are they going to fight it out and duke it out for the next couple of corners? At the moment, Trem's got the inside line. He has pushed it on forward. However, that might not have been the best move, because along this straight now, Butters, although he just gets a 3-second time penalty, he's definitely going to have a go back down this straight. And you could just see ZGS just sitting back patiently in the back there, knowing full well that these guys, he might be racing with them again later on when they go onto the mediums and he puts himself back onto the soft compound. So it looks like Butters has managed to keep that place for now. It's really good to not see any team orders, like in the real life version. No one likes to see team orders. We always worry people like Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. We always think, are they going to give him team orders? Is Perez going to be given, the license to race Max Verstappen? Because we always get the feeling that Red Bull back in the day were a bit favouritism towards Max when he joined the team, which obviously led to Ricciardo moving. But anyway, we'll focus more on these guys rather than the guys who are actually doing it for a living every week. So let's go on start from the beginning then. So we got Mogi still in first place. He's made 3 positions up so far, which is quite handy. He is on the soft compound, and he's already got a gap here of 5.5 seconds to Blumchum. And Blumchum and Butters both have penalties, so that's only increasing his advantage ever so more. So it's just a case of, when's he going to pit? I mean, 4 laps in, you might only get maybe 1 more lap out of those softs before they start going away. Although obviously in the previous, they could go for 10, 12, 15 laps. Obviously on a 25% race, it will not be the case. It'll be half or a quarter of that, I guess. It'll only be 25% race distance. I mean, this is all Mogi's, if he can keep it going. I mean, I don't know who's going to be able to combat this already. 6-second advantage over Blumchum, and Butters behind him. He doesn't have any penalties to contend with as well, which, let's be honest, is always a good thing. I mean, but mind you, though, I tell you what, the only person who looks close in terms of times is Trem with a 1:47.6. So there, we've got a couple of drivers on the 1:47s. Pressing Mixer's in there, Woolsey's in there, Dunners is in there. Unfortunately for Murphy, he obviously hasn't managed to get himself a clean lap yet with his 2-minute and 6-second quickest lap. So I don't know what's going on. Perhaps maybe he's actually retired in the pit or something and it just hasn't shown it yet. But anyway, enough about the fastest lap. That's probably going to change a lot over the next 5 or 6 laps. We've still got people that are yet to pit. So I'm just having a little look here. So as you can see, look, everyone from 6th and below have all pitted. So we've still got the top 5 to pit. So that is going to be good for people like Albert, obviously at the head of this pack, who's on the soft tyre at the moment. So he must have been on the medium when he started out. Now that might just make him be a little bit more dangerous towards the end of this race now. Because once these boys have pitted, he's obviously gaining and gaining and gaining now. Where these tyres are probably starting to lose out a little bit. I mean, looking at the moment, you're looking at about 30 seconds behind. So Mogi probably does have a pit stop in him. But I mean, time will tell. We'll have to find out as we go. I mean, Trem's been impressive today. I don't like to single anyone out for any praise, particularly Trem, because for whatever reason he's always got the widest car on track. It always seems to be me and him into the big corners, and I never seem to win, unfortunately, because he knows how to make that car twice the width than anybody else. And just when you think you get the move done, if you leave any room on the inside, he'll just take it back. Now he's relentless. But as you can see here, you can see that was actually we should stay with this, to be fair, because he might be fighting for second place here. He's definitely got the speed on him. He's now going to get DRS to assist him. That's basically job done. That is job done. Blumjum's got no chance, unfortunately. Although what I will say is Trem has used up pretty much all his ERS. Well, Blumjum has too. So it's a case of they're both going to be in a bit of trouble. What I will say though is Trem doesn't have any penalties either. So he didn't necessarily need to get that. He didn't need to go into second place because he would have got it towards the end. But he probably wants to make an indent towards Mogi now if he can. But as you can see, he hasn't quite got the pace that Mogi has at the moment. 0.4 difference between their fastest lap times. So we'll just have to see. With an 8-second gap, it's going to be very, very difficult for Trem to get himself back up into first place. However, what I will say is second place is a very, very good showing from the man who unfortunately DNF'd in the last race. So let's just go on to some of the other drivers now. So we're going to look at Albert, who's currently in 6th place. He has got that 6-second time penalty. He's also got, if we look here, People Close Comfort, ZGS here. Is ZGS pitted now? Yes, he is. He's on those softs now. So him and Albert are definitely fighting for position, although all of the top 6, bar Mogi and First, have got penalties. So that is great news for everybody else behind. They've still got a chance for some good points here. If they can just try and get a little bit closer, reduce that gap down a little bit, as I've just seen that Mogi must have pitted. Yep, he's pitted now. Where's that going to bring him out? I mean, we can see that the Atari, we're almost going into the wall there, just like ZGS on the previous lap. But that's going to bring him out in 3rd place, quite comfortably though. Butters is now the closest driver to him, but he's probably got a good 8 or 9 seconds, I'd say, because he's already up on the main straight. So at the moment then, it's just a case of, what can Mogi do now? If he can keep this on the track and he can just make sure he keeps himself clean, as we see a Sector 3 yellow flag at the moment, this is definitely Mogi's race to lose at the moment. He just needs to keep himself calm, make sure he doesn't get any penalties, and this race could well be done with 4 laps remaining. So let's have a little look here. We see Willis has retired from the session, so he must have come off the track elsewhere. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see that as he's obviously left the session. But we can see that we've got Butters in 4th. We've got Albert just holding up ZGS here as he's trying his best to defend here. And at the moment, he's defending really well. But ZGS obviously probably wants to get a few more places up because he probably wasn't happy with the finish of the last race due to the fact he had a couple of penalties which really sort of ruined the race. Just behind him, we've got Woolsey in the Mercedes, who's on the medium at the moment. So he's doing really well to keep on with this pack. But what he can do is if he sticks with this pack for the next couple of laps, those soft tyres will go away. As you can just see here, he is edging closer and closer to this battle. I wouldn't be surprised that within the next couple of corners, maybe on the beginning of the next lap, he might be able to make an impression on these two. So we've got Preston Mixer just behind in 8th place. Obviously 28 seconds behind the leader at the moment, just going on 29. But he's obviously running a comfortable race in 8th place, so he'll be able to pick up a few decent points if all stays the same. I can see here that Trem has now finally gone into the pits, and he'll be going onto the mediums with just 3 laps to go. So he's obviously stretched those softs as much as he can, because as we all know, the softs are much quicker. So now we've got Mogi will retake 2nd place. Trem here is just going to start losing a couple of places. But I mean, let's just have a little look here. Is anybody else? Everyone is now pretty much pitted except for the leader. So this is a true reflection of where people will lie, except maybe Blumchum, because we don't know where he's going to come out. If he can get a little bit of extra pace, now is the time to do it. And perhaps Trem is maybe just going for the undercut here. He's gone to the pit a little bit earlier than Blum, and the chance of getting the fresh rubber on now. Maybe making a good lap time on his out lap, and that might give him the position. We'll find out towards the end of this track. As we just see there's another red flag. As we see 3 cars all battling for one corner here at the moment. And it looks like ZGS here has lost out to Woolsey, although Woolsey has gone wide. Okay, we're going to keep battling. We're going to keep on with the Mercedes at the moment, as he really wants to make up a few grounds here. He's just got himself a 3-second time penalty. So that is going to really hurt him because he didn't have any penalties before that, I don't think. And he would have jumped a few players if he could have just kept his nose clean. He's now going to be very, very anxious. He's going to want to get past. He's going to be eager to get round this and get some time in. Although saying that, Albert still does have a few penalties to contend with of his own. 9 seconds. So at the moment, 9 seconds will put him at plus 29. Albert could drop out of the points by the end of this race. This fighting is not helping him because while they keep fighting, while they keep dicing, it allows the people in clean air behind to get some more consistent laps in, because you're probably losing a second or two just in trying to defend against the people behind you. It doesn't give you a chance to focus on your race. I think we're going to see a position change. There's a little bit of contact there, but he has to give the position up. Wolsey's got the in on the outside, and he's just kept it together, and he's moved up into 5th place. Albert, though, is not going to be happy with his 9-second penalties that he's received so far today, because that's really going to ruin his race. Although Wolsey now, if he can keep it together, he just needs to get himself moving, get himself up the list. Trem with 3-second penalty and Butters with 3-second penalties. They're fighting out and out for traction position. Those two McLarens have been at each other's throat in this race all race long. But at the moment, it looks like Butters had the advantage. Obviously, after the pit lanes, he still managed to keep the position. But Trem is very close on the back of his heels now, and I imagine his tyre life is a little bit better, because Trem's only just pitted. So although he has kept the position, he has only just pitted, so give him half a lap or so and those tyres will be coming in. Now Blum is still going, 8 laps. Has he pitted yet? I don't think he has, I thought. Oh, I don't even know how to look at this still. All this is new to me still, I'm still struggling. So where is... Stops, apologies, there we go. So Blum hasn't. So although he's looking really healthy in the position there of 2nd place, if we say on average you're going to lose 25 seconds, he could drop all the way to 10th place as he just picks up another penalty. I mean, let's have a little look at the positional changes, and we just approached the end of this 2nd feature race. So Mogi obviously in first at the moment with a 3-second advantage over Blumchum, but Blumchum is yet to pit. So we've got Trem making up 11 positions so far in this race. He could make 12 if he can stick with his teammate, but as you can see though, looking at it at the moment, Butters is in 3rd and he has got a bit of a gap on him here. So I don't know whether or not Trem's just taking it easy, but you see Mogi going the fastest lap, a 1:47.0 with the medium compound tyre as well. That's a very, very impressive time. So Blumchum's decided that he's just not going to pit by the looks of it. He's just going to keep on going. Maybe he'll pit on the end of this lap, go onto the medium, so he only has to stay on him for 1 lap. But those tyres must be old. He must be struggling to keep this on track. You just see there though, he's only getting to about 190 miles an hour. And this particular track, that's a bit slow on the main straight. So as you can already see, look, you know, Butters 195, and then Trem 197. You can just see there's a little bit of a gap formed between them, but clearly Trem is running a bit more downforce than his McLaren teammate. So Wolsey is up into 5th place then, he's made up 3 places. ZGS is in a comfortable 6th place, who actually hasn't made up any places at all. He is, however, 2.6 seconds behind, as we see another Sector 3 yellow flag. Could that be Error 6? Error 6 is now DNF'd, unfortunately for him. That's a shame there, because he was really close to the back of a potential top 10 finish, which would have been his first points for this season. As we just see Albert having a real big wobble there. I don't know if his tyres are starting to go off there, but Dunners is going to look at that and smell blood. He's going to want this position with only 2 laps remaining. I mean, we'll stay with him just for the time being as we keep an eye on the rest. As you see Butters picking up another, oh, that's not going to help him, 6-second time penalty. So as you can see though, Trem has got 4.4 seconds. If he can get that under 3 seconds, he will leapfrog his teammate. Albert is really struggling on these tyres. You can just see here, Dunners is really having to back out of it at the moment. But I mean, he's going to get better traction. He's gaining already. We're not even at the main straight here. He might even get him before the left turn. He's not going to defend this because he knows he can't really have this position. However, he will be quicker just coming down the side because he's had less of a turn in. So he's going to see if he can take it round back on the inside. Is he going to hold it on? I don't think he is. No, he's not going to get it. Dunners has got the job done here. If he can hold it together on this straight. Let's keep an eye on. As you just see Albert here still going on. Blumchum finally goes in for his pit. He's going to try and get the position back on this straight on the last lap. Maybe he's better off just waiting. I would have waited really just for there. Blumchum, you see, just popping out in front of this list. he's going to be in a little bit of trouble now because both of these cars are obviously going to get a slipstream and Blumchum. So he's dropped down to 7th, but he could be dropping to 8th or 9th if he's not careful. As we can just see here, he's picking up the DRS. He's now gaining on him now. He's going to keep going. Dunners is just in the background. They're ready to pounce as well. The Blum might just hold it coming into this turn. It's going to be really close. Oh, he's gone for it. He wanted it. He wanted it more. Although he's almost lost it under the braking. He has got the place for the moment, but on the outside, Blum just managed to keep the accelerator going a bit earlier. Keep that pace going. Very nice racing between the two of them. I like the respect they gave each other. They gave themselves a bit of extra time. As you can see here, though, Albert, every time he's putting the accelerator down, he's just putting a little bit too much. He's just losing the back end of the car. As now Blum's fresh tyres, he's going to go flying up. So Blum could be a big loss here, and same with Albert. They're both going to be coming out of, the 7th and 8th positions that they're running due to the 9-second penalties. I mean, Dunnage is only 0.1 behind Albert now. He really wants this position, but if he just keeps his nose clean, he's going to jump through both of these guys, and he's going to jump up into 7th place. As you can just see here, unfortunately, I apologise, Mogi, I've not kept an eye on you because you've just absolutely destroyed the field today. 10-second gap between 1st and 2nd. He's been so good that it's just not worth watching when there's no one around sometimes. But congratulations, Mogi, mate. That's a really good performance from you. As Butters comes home in 2nd. So even though he had the extra penalties, he's managed to get the gap out on his teammate to keep the position. We've got Trem in a very healthy 3rd place. I mean, this is a really good showing from the McLaren boys. 2nd and 3rd. That's very good in the constructors. I mean, unfortunately, the AlphaTauri boys and James Punt and A. Riley have both DNF'd today. So that is going to have a huge impact on the final scores between the end of the day. So the rest of the field, though, ZGS has managed to get himself up into 4th place in the end. Very solid performance from him. As you could just have a little look here with the position change, Pressing, Mixer and Trem being the biggest winners of the day. Obviously Butters with 8 as well, but I mean, that's a really, really strong performance from some drivers there. Unfortunately, Blum has lost out. Perhaps maybe he stayed on those softs just a little bit too long. And as a result, maybe they lost the tyre grip. Maybe he would have better grip if he went onto the mediums a bit earlier. However, he is in a good 8th place, and that's not bad considering obviously he is in the Haas. As you can see him just toying with Press and Mix here. The computers here, they love it, don't they? I mean, the race isn't quite over yet, Tom Keeley. I know you all know who driver of the day is, but I mean, for me, in this particular, for this race, if we're doing it per race, you've got to give it to Trem for making up 12 positions, really. Really solid race. He's a bit unfortunate, and it looks like the game agrees with me. So we've had Riley in the first race, and we've had Trem in the second. Now, it's amazing how it can change one race later. Trem crashing out in the first race, Riley taking home the first place, and then it's vice versa. Riley's crashed out, Trem's finished on second, Mogi with his first place there. The two McLaren boys, wouldn't it be great to see the two McLaren boys there in the real life as well? But yeah, very solid races actually, very impressed with that. I think no safety cars definitely helped us in this afternoon, or should I say evening. But yeah, it was took a little tap from the Haas. Such a shame for Riley, to be fair. But as you can see then, so we have Mogi in first, Butters in second and Trem in third, picking up the podium places. You've also got ZGS in fourth, Wolsey in fifth, Pressing Mixer sixth after starting 16th on the grid. Very good performance from him, as well as Dunners, who I believe is a new guy for this season. Managed to get himself up to 12th, from 12th to 7th. Blum, unfortunately, starting in second, getting a really nice start there, but unfortunately that Haas just doesn't quite have the pace of some of the other cars on track, but he has still managed to get himself a good couple of points. Considering he had a 9-second penalty, you've got to admit it's a good return. You've then got Attawheel, 16:30 in the other Ferrari in 9th place, and finally Albert just holding on to 10th place with those 12-second penalties he had. Murph in 11th, although obviously he struggled at the beginning. Obviously we saw, I think, 3 or 4 laps in, fastest lap was 2 minutes, so he obviously was just struggling to begin with. But no, very well raced tonight, boys. Very impressed. Obviously the first one was a bit of an interesting one. I mean, my driver of the day, I think, obviously it has to be said, for the 2 races overall, it's going to be very difficult to pick a winner. But I mean, I think really, I don't want to be biased here and give it to Butters because of the fact that I know what people will say. They'll say he was your teammate on a Monday. Obviously, I want him to do well. But actually, to be honest, I thought Wolsey was really good in the second race as well. So I mean, I'd like to know who would be your driver of the day, guys, before everyone heads off. If anyone could give me an idea of who they think, that would be great. Just put a little comment in the box when you can. But otherwise, very good starting point. I hope you've all been entertained. So, I mean, that will be, I believe, that's going to be the end of it now. I know the guys do a bit of a sort of a destruction derby, as sort of like it's basically kind of like prison rules in football, in terms of there's no real rules except you just got to try and keep it on the track, really. So as you can see, though, they've just taken the vehicle damage off. The car performances are still on equal, and the race distance is only 5 laps. So if you guys want to see some carnage, but with no actual damage to account for, but basically it's like as if you're watching a normal ranked session, to be honest. Everyone's going to be ploughing into each other on the first corner. There's going to be absolutely no hard bars, no hard dodge bars, sorry. People are just going to be flying all over the place. Everyone's going to take the inside line and get away with it. Obviously, I don't know if there is still part of Fermi rules, so I'm wondering if penalties will still be given. I mean, this is the first for me. I haven't seen this, so I must admit, I don't know how this is going to pan out, to be honest. But I mean, I don't know if you guys remember back in the PlayStation 1 days where we had like the destruction derby. We had like a big old ring, and people were just basically trying to fly into each other until their cars couldn't move. I mean, I'm not sure if that's actually a fair reflection of what it is or not, but like I say, let me know, guys. Tell me what you think. If you've got any details, I don't know. No idea. So T. Keeley then saying, well done to me. I'm not sure why he's saying that. I mean, I wasn't the one racing. I mean, don't get me wrong, though. I am sweating after all that. I do think I'm going to have to turn the fan on, so I apologise if you do hear a little bit of the air from my microphone here. If it does, let me know, and I will just have to continue sweating out. I could do with losing a few pounds, so this won't necessarily not do me any favours, you know. Let me just turn that down a little bit. Turn that right down. Okay, so here we go. Keep in here, guys, because this is going to be interesting, because I literally have no idea what to expect. So if it was all about who makes their car the biggest, then obviously Trem seriously has an advantage here. He is an absolute arsehole to try and overtake on track here, I must say. Okay, well, thank you for the commentary, mate. I appreciate that. Obviously, I'm a bit of a noob here, so if anyone has any hints and tips that they want to give me, by all means, or if the guys have a beer chat on a Monday, I'm more than happy to start my own little chat with whoever's involved, but let's just make sure it's something worthwhile. Obviously, I'm not drinking tonight because it's a school night. I've got work tomorrow. So I'm just on the Pepsi Max because obviously, you know, my name's Max, so why the hell not when I not have a Pepsi to drink with? And we'll just have to see what's going on here. Anyone else other than A. Riley as your overall driver of the day, guys? Because I can see there's somebody else watching. Well, there's been a couple of other people watching throughout this race. Obviously, there's only the 2 left now, unfortunately, so I imagine that will be T. Keeley and maybe one of the other drivers. Maybe got it in the background. I hope you're not looking for some motivational speech talks from me, because that's definitely not me, unfortunately. So, back to racing then. As the light's just about to appear to go 3, we've got the 4 and the 5. The lights are going to go up very shortly, and we're off again for the 3rd time this evening. Oh, we've got some big wheel spin all over the place here. Now, the interesting thing is I really don't know. I believe people are just blowing off some steam here. So Trev's got a 2-second penalty already for corner cutting. People were just... yeah, this really is just do what you want for 5 laps. But I tell you what, there are people here that just can't hack it, and they're just going to have to... You know what they're like? I want to win no matter what. So Butters has just gone, do you know what? I'm not getting involved in your games. I'm just going to go. And it looks like Preston Mixer is also doing the same. If I was him, I'd go through the back of him here. But he's oh, there it is. There it is. Just as I say that, Trem absolutely annihilates Preston Mixer off the track. You can tell he's done this before. As you see a couple more penalties being picked up here. But with no damage coming on, that certainly does make it a bit interesting. So we got a couple of wave yellow flags as Aaron was disqualified earlier in the race for driving the wrong way. Blumchum has now got a 3-second time penalty for a severe collision, as we just see Riley being planted into the wall by Pressing Mixer. No friendship love lost there, is there? As James Punt just comes flying through everybody. What are we watching here? This is certainly different. I can see everyone at home probably thinking, what am I watching now? We're not always like this, everyone. We've had the fun racing. Now we're having the other side of it. We're all going a bit mental here on the first lap. It's quite funny, to be fair, watching all these guys flying around. So as it's only 5 laps, there will obviously be no pits. We won't need a pit. It's just first come, first serves. I wonder if ZGS is still on mediums, even though he doesn't have to pit. No, he is on the softs. He is on the softs. As we just see a couple more yellow flags flying around. Let's see, who's closer-ish at the moment? As I just see a few more people have joined the stream here. I mean, just as I speak about ZGS, he's retired. How can he DNF? There's no damage. He's obviously just gone, I've had enough of this. One barge too many into the corner. As we see Albert into 4th place at the moment. Trem's in 3rd. Given half a chance, I imagine he'd want to get his teammate. This is the only time you'll want to see your teammates crashing. To see Dunners here is just a little bit too far in front. Obviously, Butters is just saying, do you know what? I really don't fancy this. I'm just going to get myself on this podium if I can. And I'm just going to enjoy the victory. Well, I'll tell you what I think of that, mate. I'll just be leaving you alone while we watch the rest of the other field have a bit of a fight here. I mean, Hindlebro, he's new to the league. He might not want to just send it up on the inside and take someone out in the process. Or who knows? He might want to be the aggressor. As we just move a bit further back then, so Wolsey, he's got James Punt for company, and as you've already seen before in this race, he'll happily give his couple of teammates his shunt. Riley's obviously in 9th, who's picked up all kinds of penalties for corner cutting. But again, this is really the time for the guys just to basically, let loose on a bit of frustration. They might not have had the best of days today, so now they're going to, let out their frustrations by basically just doing what they want, flying into a few barriers. And I'm not sure if there's any points at the end of this, or if there is or isn't. Do you know what? I must admit, I haven't familiarised myself with the rules for this one. No real massive close battles here. I mean, we've got Albert, who's 1.2 seconds behind the McLaren of Trem. I mean, if I was them, I'd just slow down and just wait for him to catch up, wouldn't you? So what have you guys thought of the Demolition Derby as we approach lap 3 here? Obviously, penalties flying all over the place, but I have to say, Albert is gaining a little bit on Trem as he just gets the fastest lap. We've got a sector 1. Oh, Butters has span out there. That means Dunners is going to come flying on the inside. Oh, look at that. He wasn't having any of it. Oh, he's not been able to hold the car, unfortunately. He's losing. Oh, what is he doing? God, bloody hell. Just spinning for fun. And as a result, he's gone from 1st to 5th. He's got Murph just coming up the road behind him. And now he just doesn't care. 10-second time penalty for cutting all the corners. Even though there's no damage on, he can't seem to keep the car going at all. And we see another sector 2 and 3. Is that in the front? So Dunners is now in front with Trem 2.8 seconds behind. You've got Albert, who's in hot pursuit and 0.8 seconds behind him. And we've got Hinderboy just behind him. Oh, he's just got 2 seconds for a time penalty. We've got another yellow flag in sector 1. That looks like Blum. Oh, do you know what it is? I can guarantee you, Blum told me, just keep buying this time here. He's waiting for first place. He is waiting for someone. He's waiting for Pressing Mixer, maybe. He's going nice and slow. He wants that pile to catch him back up. Probably for one big... Oh, maybe not. Maybe he's going for it again. I'm disappointed now. I thought he was waiting just so he could take out the leader. As we see another Sector 1 flag. Oh, people cannot keep it on the track, even when there's no cars around. Sector 2. Oh, that's going to be further back here then. That's got to be, yeah, Pressing Mixer and Blum. Oh, Blum is going really... Maybe he's heard me. Maybe he's listening to me and he's... he's just, I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he has any idea what he's doing. He's just been disqualified from the session for receiving multiple penalties. So there he is. He's out. Pressing Mixer is obviously still flying around at the back there on the gravel, having a bit of fun. Just doing a few donuts for the crowd today. The 3 people that are watching. Keep it going, mate. Really enjoying that. Let's see if we can get him on. Is he going to get himself back going? Those tyres look a little bit damaged, to say the least, don't they? Oh, and just as I do that, look, we just see James Punt. He's in a really bad part of the track here. He's lucky there's no one behind him. But that would have been interesting. As you see, James Punt there, Preston Mixer still having a bit of fun and all by himself. I think he's wondering how long he can go before he gets sent off. As you just see, Tom's had too many beers on the Monday. As we see Punty absolutely losing control yet again. Problem is, once you've lit up those tyres once, you find it very hard to keep them going. So Riley's a little bit further on. Any close battles going on? We've got Wolsey 1.1 second behind Murph. Gaining on him and gaining on him. I wonder if he's going to give him a little friendly tap, as it were, as Murph really struggling to keep the car on the track. He's going to push him onto the gravel here, but he's going to come back at him for sure. Oh yeah, oh, he's losing it out himself. That's the problem, if you tap on the inside of the car, or the front there, you're going to lose out. James Punt's been disqualified. We're losing drivers like flies now. So you see at the front here, Trem is into second. Dunners is obviously in front at the moment, not giving a shit about the Demolition Derby rules. He just wants to bring the car home in first. And you got Trem just behind, 2.4 seconds. Oh, I can see Wolsey had a little bit of a spin out. Him and Murph are still having a bit of fun. As you can just see at the back there, you can see A. Riley wanting to join the fray. I wonder if Murph is just going to send it up on the inside, is he not? As he goes a bit deep, he's lost the position. Now they've both gone wide. Now they're having a bit of fun. Go on, push him into the wall, push him onto the wall. Boom! Oh! If only damage was on, that would have been funny. And here comes Murph, still behind Wolsey. Yeah, he's going to go right across the field here. He's going to lose it. He's lost it. He's gone. He's gone. Any other? Go on, Hinderbro. Take him out. This is the only time you'll hear me saying that. Because I normally like more clean racing. But while we're at it, it just wouldn't be a session without Albert getting some form of penalty, would it? And just as I say that, he's almost lost the car. Albert's now got Hinderbro for company still. He's getting very close to the back of him now. Is he going to go? I mean, let's go to the front then. Let's just I'll let Dunners have his little spotlight moment here for finishing first in the Demolition Derby, as it is. So we've got Trem here. He was catching him. Obviously, penalties will still be a factor. I mean, while we're having a look at that, not that it matters too much. Let's have a little look at the penalties here. I mean, if you haven't got over double figures in penalties, why are you doing a Demolition Derby in the first place? I mean, Trem's been cleaner in this race than he has done in his normal races, with zero penalties throughout, by the looks of it. Albert has now just decided to plant it on the line. Is this oh no, yes. Oh, does it have to be the whole car or something? Because clearly his car's over the line. Riley's still having a bit of fun here. He's just waiting for everybody else, by the looks of it. Having a bit of fun. Preston Mixers have gone, do you know what? I don't really feel like finishing this race. He's probably just going to sit there and wait until the time limit runs out. And then here I'm proven wrong. Well, everybody, that I believe is the end of the show for this evening. Thanks for joining. I know it's been a long evening. Obviously, we started the stream quite some time ago, but we've had quite a lot of entertaining races. And I'm hoping you enjoyed that Demolition Derby as much as I did, because I have to say, that was pretty entertaining from the boys there. So, on that note, I'm going to leave you all. I hope you all have a lovely evening, and we're flying into the weekend now. So, take care of yourself, and good night all. We'll see you next time. And apparently, I don't know how to stop a stream. Right, I mean it.